studio. Here's John McIntyre.
Everybody, welcome to the broadcast. We're live from High Top Television Hills, Studio A. Normally we have three people. She was able to win tonight because she's in Washington, D.C. They are forcing her to stay there and vote. So doofus attack Rich people. Three sitting panelists we plan to have here. Congresswoman Melissa. But let's meet our other sterling panelists. When you think of Sterling, you think of Mean Bill Green. He runs a giant Republican PR firm. He's a political analyst for WPXI, for PCNC. He writes vicious op-ed pieces for the Pittsburgh Tribune-Review. He wears sweaters, and he wipes his nose, like a good political analyst should. Then, Doug Saltzman, veteran Republican political activist. He works for Senator Arlen Specter. He is Specter's chief aide in the Pittsburgh area. Isn't that true, sir?
That's right.
He's critically important to everything. When Specter comes here, he sucks up to him with wild abandon and makes sure he, is where he needs to be, and also does many other heavy-duty, thoughtful policy sort of things. So welcome, you guys. You just look all fired up to beat the band. Just look like you're ready to rock and roll. What's wrong with you? Come on, you look a little comatose there. Are you? You feeling all right?
Yeah, I feel great.
He looks great.
Casual?
Feel great.
I couldn't believe, and I tried to get a third person since Melissa wasn't going to be here, but it's Memorial Day weekend.
You forgot that part, huh?
I called up everybody and their grandmother. John Delano, his wife, wouldn't let him go out of the house. I think I told you guys that.
My wife was happy to have me go because we postponed one night of our camping trip to stay out of the rain.
Oh, and she hates like being out there with the mosquitoes.
Well, she likes being out there, but not in the rain and cold. So.
Right. Well, of course, among other things, we're going to talk about the exciting and justified defection of Senator James Jeffords of Vermont over to the independent side of the thing, and for organizational purposes, apparently he's voting with the Democrats like any good human being should. We're hoping that these guys will complain a lot about that and moan and bitch and just be really, really sad, and we're hoping to demoralize them for the remainder of the holiday weekend. But,
no, you're not going to demoralize me. Do you have to go to a break now?
I suppose we should go to a break. When we come back, we hope to have Melissa Hart, the Congresswoman, on the phone, and these fine gentlemen on Night Talk Free for All Night. It's a holiday weekend free for all. Stay with us. Back in a moment. Welcome back to Night Talk Free for All Night. Melissa Hart, Congresswoman Extraordinaire, is missing in action. She's being forced to stay in Washington because, as we said, President-elect Doofus Boy wants the tax cut package on his desk by Memorial Day, so he can show up and or show off rather and say, look, rich people, I got you the tax cut that it's payback time. But anyway, we'll try to get a hold of Melissa later on the telephone.
Everybody is getting a piece of that tax cut.
Yes, some people are getting much larger than others.
Well, yes, but everybody's getting a piece
make more
of
money than others.
I just have a feeling that it's not going to mean Jack Doogie to yours truly in the final analysis.
No,
I will be buying a new car because
I watched NBC tonight, and if I'm correct in what I think you're in your tax bracket, you're going to be seeing upwards of $4,000 or $5,000.
Oh, that's crap. No way. I don't have any small children either. Don't you need small children to get in on this government scam?
Well, it was
on the Brokaw News tonight. They broke it down per income level.
Yeah.
And like everybody gets a piece of this, so it's not right.
I'll believe it when I see it.
That wasn't the case with the first proposal.
I'll split mine with yours because mine will be less than yours.
You will split yours with me?
Split mine with yours.
You're a witness. He's a rich Republican,
He's never going to split it with me because I work for Arlen Specter.
I know. But anyway, I didn't. Unless you want to talk about the tax cut, I don't really. It's a done deal. It's going to happen, or it's not a done deal. I guess
it's a done deal, and it's going to have
some sizable tax cut will occur.
Bipartisan support. It'll have a whole bunch of votes out of the House, both Republican and Senate, and Republican Democrat, and in the Senate it will have bipartisan. They'll probably get 58, 60 some votes on that bill. But the big thing is George Bush has managed to do this in 125 days in office. I think that's quite an accomplishment for a guy.
Well, but that's because he had control of both houses of Congress, and even Jeffords said he would not switch parties until the tax cut deal is done.
And Jeffords voted for it. I mean, it passed 68-32 in the Senate. That's enormous.
So it's going to, what he promised in the campaign, a tax cut in his first, quarter of time in office,
Right.
he's accomplished. I think that's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, he also promised to rape the environment, didn't he? But fortunately, because of this exciting switch of James Jeffords to the independent side, voting with the Democrats, the Senate apparently will be able to block, for example,
that's right, exactly.
drilling in the national
And we'll have
Alaska Wildlife
$5 a
Refuge.
gallon, $5 a gallon
horse
gasoline.
manure.
We'll have no electricity because with all the enviros out there, we'll never build another power plant.
We're
God
already
knows-
building
God
150
knows-
or
no, we're
something
not.
new power plants.
No,
Yes, we are.
not.
I just
No,
read
sir,
that the
we
other
are
day.
not.
Yes, we are.
No, we're
there are
not.
already ones under construction.
We should be building nuclear power plants right now. We're not, and we won't because the enviros won't let that happen.
Of course, we will
no,
end
we're
up doing
not.
it. Not as much as
No,
Bush
John,
campaigning.
we
There is-
won't.
There is not.
We're already building power plants now. That's true.
Yeah. There is
Coal
not.
burners, maybe.
Yeah.
But
Whatever.
we're not. But that's stopgap. If you knew anything about the energy industry, and I happen to be an expert in this field,
Oh,
by
give
the
me
way.
a break.
Am I an expert in this field?
He's an expert in this field.
I'm an expert in the energy
I'm
field.
supposed to take his word?
No,
He works for Spectre.
I 3.5 years at the Department of Environmental Resources in Harrisburg.
Yeah.
A third of my business is based on energy and environmental compliance. I know all about energy stuff.
You know about
okay?
complying with government regulations,
Or getting,
not necessarily
or getting around
the
them.
supply.
Or getting around them. Well, no.
Well,
of
as a
course I know
Republican,
about-
I'm sure you know about getting around
Of course I know about supply. The fact is that we need nuclear power, we need coal power, we need other sources of energy to light our lights, or you're going to end up with what's happening in California right now.
Well, I've read many analyses that say that except for California, where the rest of the country isn't in trouble yet, and they're trumping up a phony energy crisis.
That's not phony.
So that they can, of course, line the pockets of their millionaire energy industry
Look at the
friends.
cost of your electricity this last year. Look at the cost of gas, natural gas for home heating and stuff. These prices are going through the roof. Why? Because you can't acquire it fast enough for the consumer to use it. We need to be discovering more of it to get it on the market so prices come
But
down.
we don't need to do it in environmentally sensitive lands. We can do it elsewhere.
You define environmentally sensitive lands.
The Alaska Wildlife Refuge.
That's your definition of an
No,
environmentally
it's my
sensitive
definition
land.
of one environmentally
Do you know
sensitive
how
land.
big this area we're talking about up
It's
there?
enormous.
It's 2.3 acres. Is the actual physical size of what we're talking about to drill oil. That's it. 2.3 acres. That's
and yet,
all it is.
The environmental danger is there, of course, because
There
it
are
could
not
spill
any
over a much larger
But it
area
hasn't.
than-
that could happen anyway.
We have been running a pipeline for 25
I know
years.
the
I was
Alaska
a kid.
pipeline, natural
We
gas.
haven't had a leak.
Hey, by the way, isn't that? But did you just say that's dead anyway? I thought that's what I read today. Is that drilling in that sensitive area in Alaska is now allegedly
It
dead
probably
because
will
of
be
the
dead,
Jeffords
right.
switch.
Well,
At least for now.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's said. Senator Specter had come out last year in favor of drilling in Anwar just because of the situation right now and what's happening with OPEC. But Bill talks about nuclear power, and he's right. There has not been a nuclear power plant to start up construction since 3 Mile Island.
That's
See,
1979.
I
That's
wonder
23
why.
years.
Since 3 Mile Island, why would we stop after that? I don't get it.
Do you want to get into that? I know a little bit about 3 Mile Island, too.
Oh, I know you know
Bill
about
was the
that.
spokesman of the world on it, for heaven's sakes. At
Right.
the time.
6 foot tall at the time at 3 Mile Island.
And he only had one head.
And I had one head, and I was a liberal.
And a lot more hair.
And I stood,
That explains
and
a lot.
And I stood down there. I stood down there at 3 Mile Island. And do you know it's not 3 Mile Island? Do you know it's only 2.5 miles?
I did not know
Yes.
that.
It shrunk after the meltdown.
No, it didn't shrink. The press exaggerated and called it 3 Mile Island. It was really 2.5 miles.
I thought that was the name of the plant itself. It was not.
No, it was.
The 3 Mile Island nuclear facility.
But in fact, it was a misnomer. It was a 2.5
Oh, okay.
mile.
They should have called
and
it
it was
2.5.
Unit 2 that went down, not Unit 1 that has been running and continues to run very well. It was Unit 2 that was down, not Unit 1. So let's
where are these-
please
There
understand.
was no hydrogen
Irrelevant
bubble, right?
distinction.
There was no
Who cares?
explosion.
No hydrogen bubble.
There was the safety. All the safety stuff worked. Nuclear power. We have it in it. We have it in aircraft carriers. We have it in submarines. We use nuclear power for lots of stuff.
Well, and nuclear power still gives millions of people energy, like as we speak, correct?
We should be building more of them.
in this area.
Absolutely, we should be building more of them. It takes
in your backyard, pal.
Fine, I have no problem
You
with
would
that.
do that, I know.
Of course I would.
You're going to get even shorter and develop more heads.
It uses no fossil fuel.
Right, that's why it's nuclear power.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
And there's no harm to the environment, and it will heat and cool homes all across America. Yet we've got enviros out there who will say, "Oh no, we can't have nuclear power." I don't know what they want.
And there's more.
They want to rub two mosquitoes together and create light. It doesn't work.
There's no more
You
closely
know what? If it
regulated
did work,
industry
you wouldn't want to do it anyway because there's no money in it. All right, let's take a break. When we come back,
We got you good.
You didn't get me at all.
You didn't know anything.
What are you kidding
Bill
me?
Green and Doug Saltzman.
You don't have to
agree.
know anything to know that these guys are two
Slam
oil
dunk.
men.
Nothing.
Two oil men who are definitely
Yeah,
trying to
oil-
line the
I'm an
pockets of
oil
their
man.
rich millionaire friends.
I'm an oil man.
Period. Not you. Bush and Cheney, you buffoon.
I thought he was talking about us.
I'm not talking about
So
you
what?
guys.
So they made their living doing that. So
and
what?
is it hard to believe that the whole phony energy crisis is being trumped up so they can line the pockets of their
Why
buddies?
is it phony?
Because it's not true. Did you read the analysis of
I
the
don't know.
paper
I
over
just
the
got
last
paid
few days?
$1.80 for gasoline. I'd say it's
It doesn't
pretty
mean
true.
it's not an energy crisis as if we're all going to go bankrupt tomorrow or as if we're all going to run out of energy
Tell
tomorrow.
those people in Los Angeles who don't have power
California is a unique situation, as you know, because the politicians and the energy people screwed up. They all screwed up out there.
Yeah.
Well, let's hope for
That's
a
not our
caller from
problem.
California to give us their opinion. You're on in California.
Yeah, well,
I thought
almost.
so.
We're in Nevada and Arizona. We're not quite out to California yet.
All Nevada callers, please call me.
All right. See, these Republicans just think if they repeat the stupid mantra of their party that they win. I mean, that's the arrogance. That's why James Jeffords left the Republican
Both
Party.
sides have
and that's
mantra.
what we're going to talk about when we come back. And maybe we'll even find Melissa Hart one of these days with Doug Saltzman and Bill Green in a moment. Welcome back to Night Talk. Mean Bill Green, Republican political analyst extraordinaire, Doug Saltzman of Senator Arlen Specter's staff. By the way, did you see, even in recent polls, most of the American people believe that Bush and Cheney are trying to help their friends out in the energy industry?
Okay.
I mean, that's a logical conclusion to draw, isn't it? I mean, any monkey
Fine.
could see that. Even Bush could see that. Like, if Bush were a constituent, he could figure that out. That's how simple it is.
Fine. Clinton tried to help the Rose Law Firm. You know, I mean, you know, it's kind of the
did?
same thing. Yeah.
He had a funny way of doing that.
Broke it up. Between his wife and that other guy that went to jail. What's
Yeah.
his name? There was somebody who went to jail in the administration.
Webb
I keep
Hubble,
forgetting.
went
Webb.
to jail.
Good old Weber.
Yeah.
Weber. Where is
Well,
he, by the way?
I don't know.
Haven't heard from him, have we?
I don't know where Webb Hubble is.
Where he's going in the post
Maybe he'll be
January 20th
He'll soon
world.
be Hillary's chief of staff.
He'll
or
show up
something.
somewhere.
All right, but let's get back to the subject we like to gloat about the most, Jim Jeffords. Are you guys angry that the man defected, throwing the balance of power to the Democrats in the Senate?
Well, I know Senator Specter is. He and
Why didn't he go with them? You know, him and, and Olympia Stowe and all those
in fact,
friggin' moderate
they met
liberals.
went with him the other
Link
day.
Chafee.
Olympia Snow
yeah,
and
your
Link
friend Link
Chafee
Chafee.
and Susan Collins met with him for a couple of hours, all trying to convince him not to switch. The senator was quoted saying he wished that Jeffords would have sent a shot across the bow instead of into the bow of the Republican
Yeah, I
conference.
didn't understand that. I saw that soundbite because I thought across the bow was also bad.
Well, but not as
the
bad as
bow
getting
is-
hit by it.
Across the bow would be sending a message. Look,
Oh, as opposed to a direct hit. In
yeah, as opposed to a direct
Yeah.
hit. I mean, look, this is a party that I saw David Gergen last night say this is a party that flies better when it has two wings to it, more of a moderate wing and a conservative wing. I don't agree with that. These liberals that are in the Republican Party, this is not the place for them.
Right, it's not a big tent party.
It is not a big
It's
tent
only
party.
for conservative right-wing nutbags.
It is. Fine.
I don't agree with that.
Fine, whatever you
There's
want to
room.
describe it. The fact is, it's not the party that needs Olympia Snow, Arlen Specter, Jim Jeffords, and all those people.
But don't
go
you-
away.
Well, I disagree. I
They
think-
should
I
go
think it
away.
does need it.
No, I don't.
And-
And I donate to a party that does not want Arlen Specter in it, that does not want Olympia Snow in it. I want a party that first and foremost is defense. Second is tax cuts, protection of the unborn, and last but not least, the government governs best. That's what I want. That's my Republican Party. I don't want the rest of this
But are you
crap.
willing to lose the White House and both
Yeah.
houses of Congress
Yeah.
to get that?
Oh, so
Yes.
that's silly.
That's
Bill.
you're the kind of Republican I like. Well,
Well,
go ahead.
that's, I mean, and Specter,
a purist.
Specter today was, and this is sort of breaking news, not entirely breaking news, but
Breaking news.
was appointed to the Senate Republican leadership.
Does that matter now that they're no longer in control?
That matters a lot. There's still leadership, whether they're in the majority or the minority.
Why didn't they give them leadership back when they ran things?
I don't think he asked for it at the time.
Oh, okay.
Arlen Specter and leadership is an oxymoron, and the fact is, and listening to Rick Santorum, a real senator's press conference yesterday
formerly the
afternoon,
number 3 powerful man in the Senate now, like
like he's
washed up
nobody
yesterday's
now.
news.
Yeah, he's nobody
has been.
now.
Yeah.
He's still has the same
listening to
position,
his
just a
press
minority.
into his press conference yesterday, and he said in there, "I am sick and tired. Every time we've turned around, we've had to bow our heads to the Arlen Specters, to the Jim Jeffords, and they're the ones that are bullies." revolting. They're the ones that are revolting. He says, I turn around and I look at the 43 conservatives, and they say, what about us? Why are we over here kissing their rear ends all the time for some tiny little piece when we, the conservatives, are the ones that are maintaining this party?
Larger base.
Rick Santorum did not say the name Arlen Specter in that comment, and you know that.
He said all of these other liberals.
That's not what you just said.
He's one of them.
Well, I would not consider Arlen Specter a liberal.
Well, I would.
Then what would you consider Ted Kennedy for
a liberal?
Yeah,
and,
well,
and Arlen and Ted would be very happy together.
They're hardly similar.
Well, they make a cute couple.
I mean, the worst thing this party could do is give Arlen Specter another friggin' show place to go to a camera to say, well, the moderate wing of the party doesn't agree with this. Trent Lott is going to spend half his time trying to keep Arlen shut up, keep 49 of the Republicans. I mean, this is just asinine.
If the concern of Trent Lott and Rick Santorum, they want leadership today, and you talk about some of the issues that are important to such defense during the Reagan administration. Arlen Specter supported it. Specter is not the Bush administration's defense missile system. He supported.
I hear
he
that.
supported the Reagan tax.
He was against Judge Bork, and he was against Judge.
Committee of one.
And
you think that Arlen Specter voted against Clarence Thomas.
And he continually
wish he'd have been our spokesperson in '92.
He continually goes against the president, whichever president it is, Reagan, Bush, or Bush, and they're
fed up with it. Wouldn't have pointed him to view him as
exactly, but they view him as a pain in the ass. Let's just face it. Arlen is a pain in the ass. Well, he's a pain in the ass to everybody. So he makes so much noise they give him a new little platform.
I find that so funny. Arlen always speaks very highly of you, though.
Well, I don't speak highly of Arlen.
No, I'm just joking.
And at the penultimate, when a senior senator should be able to display his leadership, the penultimate, February 12th, 1999, the penultimate, when 99 people were voting for or against impeachment, this is the guy that couldn't make up his mind, and this is the guy we're giving a leadership post to. Bull.
But he voted against the Clinton impeachment.
No, he did not. He voted not proven.
Well, but he did vote.
99 other guys made up their mind. Yay or nay? They made up their mind.
But the not proven in effect was against impeachment, or it's against conviction.
I didn't know. Thank you for explaining that to me.
Well, somebody has to.
No, the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court did because the senator couldn't.
Yeah. What Arlen Specter said.
Oh, the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court decided to record it that way.
That's
you're
correct.
saying
Right.
Because he felt like interpreting it that way.
That's right.
Well, but there's reason for doubt in your mind.
Didn't say I.
And since that time, Senator Specter has said that he should have just simply said that there was no proof, no trial. And I think anybody will agree that that impeachment trial was just a sham
99
trial.
others didn't agree.
A total
sure,
sham.
no,
That's
not what I asked.
Point.
It was a sham trial. There were no witnesses. He wanted to call President Clinton to the floor of the Senate as a witness. That's what you do in a trial.
I think he wanted to have Monica Lewinsky down there.
He wanted to have Monica Lewinsky.
He wanted to clear the rest of the chamber out. It was just him and Monica. That's what I think he was trying to
I don't think he said that, but he wanted to have Betty Curry come down.
I heard him say that once.
And he thought it was a sham trial. He has since said, I should not have said.
Then he should have abstained.
No, he should have voted.
But he didn't vote either way.
Well, he since said it was clearly a vote no.
He's an idiot. He didn't vote either way.
He's not an idiot. Come on. You may disagree with him philosophically, but he's not an idiot.
Did he vote on the friggin' thing? No, he didn't.
He did, though. They recorded it. He cast a vote. They recorded it.
He didn't vote aye or nay.
It's recorded in history.
You had two choices there. You didn't have a not proven choice.
Not proven. So they voted
nay. That wasn't a choice.
Yeah.
And to say that, and to say you don't know how he voted on Judge Clarence Thomas.
Election thief. Go ahead.
Good heavens.
Oh, all right. Let's take a break. When we come back, let's talk about whether or not it's a shame that the Republican Party is no longer the big tent party that I thought it used to be. And we'll bring up other stuff other than politics, believe it or not, including those darn pirates and their food policy. Oh, we had to string them up, I tell you. Back in a moment on Night Talk Free for All Night. It's Night Talk Free for All Night. We'd like to welcome the brand new Night Talk intern, Christina Barr, fresh from Carnegie Mellon University, where all the brainy people are. So what she's doing with this show, I have absolutely no idea. But we'll take what we can get, including better people than we deserve. How about that? We got an intern. That means we're moving up in the world.
Congratulations. Is she a paid intern?
She's not a paid intern.
Not a paid intern. Well, it's sort of moving up.
We pay our interns.
Because you could expand your staff by hundreds if you don't pay them.
Can you?
I'm up for that. If you don't pay your staff.
That's an excellent idea, yeah. Well, they barely pay us for crying out loud. All right. No, I don't want to dwell on this
with guys, I guess,
Republican Party thing forever, but I thought they were the party of the Big Tent. We have many people with many differing philosophical views.
Yeah, it was the same thing. It was the same thing the Democrats.
What happened to that?
It's the same thing the Democrats pledged too. I don't think it's possible. I think what we have in this country is we have two parties. It's not unlike Great Britain in many, many ways. We have a conservative party and we have a liberal party. Great Britain, it's Labour and the Conservatives.
But governing toward the center, at least lately, seems to be what keeps you in office.
Well,
or at least appearing to do that.
Appearing to do that, but I think it's proven it hasn't. It didn't work for Clinton.
It did work for Clinton. What do you mean it didn't work for Clinton? He's a two-termer. I'm not for
Don't interrupt me.
Well, you interrupt.
Well, I have to correct your mistake.
It's part of the mystique of the show, the interruption.
I think that this country is divided with a conservative side and a liberal side. You have a pro-life side, and you have a pro-abortion side, and
So it's impossible for those people to be in the same political party.
Exactly.
Why? They could agree on other things. What if they agree on tax cuts and they disagree on abortion?
Then go join. Find a party that suits you. But I don't want to belong to a party that tolerates that.
The Democrats are going to lose the Congress.
Well, maybe the minority party, but I would also suggest to you that the Democrats will become the minority party because their desire, their universality and what they believe in has to contrast many more interests than the Republican Party does. They have divided themselves in so many different ways that for them to become a unified majority party is more difficult. So they can try and continue to do what they want to do, and the Republicans can do what they've always wanted to do, which is control wealth in this country and control basically in this country and be very happy
control
with
wealth
that.
and business, and that's all they care about. At least you're an honest man.
I'm very honest
I've
about
seen
this.
national polling where they polled Republicans nationally, and they said about 40% of them said they would consider themselves moderate. So I think the Republican Party
Only 60% that would say conservative.
Right, but yet to say it's a completely conservative party is not accurate. I think there's room for both.
I don't.
Well, let me ask for...
I don't think there's room for...
Well, there may be room for both, but he doesn't want them, I guess, or there may not be.
Look, there was time for this, and the party lost its ass. You know, we had a time when you had Jake Javits and Hugh Scott from this state, and Dick Schweiker from this state,
John Hines,
what's his name from Maryland? They were the Eastern, Bill Scranton, Nelson Rockefeller, that whole wing of the...
For Bill Scranton.
No, it didn't work for Bill Scranton. It worked for Dick Thornburgh. He was the light governor for Dick Thornburgh.
Didn't you like Bill Scranton?
I like him very much. I think the world of him. This is not the same Bill Scranton. This was his father I'm referring to. But there was the Rockefeller wing of the party. Right. They were an elitist group of guys who thought that the Western conservatives, the Goldwater conservatives, and all those guys were nothing but fly-by-night people that we didn't even need to deal with. They couldn't do anything. They couldn't win the White House. They couldn't win anything. It took Goldwater and the conservative wing, the Western part of this country, to finally bring that party together and win something. Now, what's left are these tiny little efforts of the old Rockefeller wing of the party, the Jeffords, the Stows, the Specters. Those are and they're finally being eliminated from the party to where the party will be a pure conservative party.
I think Jeffords actually did it out of conscience. I think he disagrees.
I think he did too.
Do you see? I'm glad to hear you say that because you think so too.
Senator Specter says he disagreed with what he did. He was disappointed with what he did. Tried to talk him out of it, but he can understand his reasoning.
Because you've heard some of the Republican attack dogs say, well, he did it because they offered him a special deal or they've been working on him forever, implying that there was something slimy about it instead of the guy just had a fit of conscience and did what he thought he had to do.
He had a fit of conscience, and I think it's very easy in Vermont to go from a Democrat or from Republican to Democrat.
He could probably still win.
And not pay any price for it. He's going to be chairman of the Senate Energy Committee.
And
there's an indication he may not run again.
I didn't know that.
The fact that the Democrats got this, what bothers me with their Cheshire smiles about them is this isn't as if someone, there was a special election and another senator won and the party changed power. It's the fact is that they seduced this guy and also ideologically he did it. There are two main problems here. One is Trent Lott.
Democrats are good at seducing.
Last year they lost 4. It ended up being a total of 5 Senate seats. Trent Lott last year had 55 Republican senators. So in a situation that happened this day, you could lose one and not skip a beat. It wouldn't matter. But in this particular case, because of the way the Republican Senate screwed up the re-election efforts and election efforts of other senators last year, they got themselves in a situation where they couldn't afford to lose one, and that's the sad part.
Well, my boss has indicated that perhaps some of those races were lost because of the Republicans' position on some issues. Patient Bill of Rights, for instance, is universally viewed by people from both parties, not 100% naturally, but he thinks that's one of the issues, and that's something that he thinks that as now a member of leadership working with Rick Santorum. It's tremendous for Pennsylvania to have 2 members of leadership. I'm not sure if there's another state in the nation that has 2 members of leadership.
Do you guys think
what's sort of interesting, we were talking about this today, that if Al Gore had won,
which he did, of course, but he didn't get in.
Had Al Gore actually won, and this would have occurred, we'd still would have, it would have been tied again, because of course, when Lieberman would have left the Senate. So we would have been in the majority by 1 more. So it would have been rather interesting. And then this
run
would
that
have
by
tied
me
it up.
again. Al Gore wins. Lieberman would have left his position.
Right.
There's a Republican governor in Connecticut.
That's correct. So
okay,
you would have had a Republican there. It would have been 51-49.
And so now it would have been even.
This would have been even
with
again.
Lieberman breaking the tie.
Breaking the tie.
Interesting. I'm amazed that I can't get more angst out of you about this. You're not really. You're over the Jeffords
Haven't we yelled at
thing.
each other enough?
No, yeah, I know.
What's the interesting thing, what a lot of people don't view is a person in a position like mine. I mean, I have colleagues in Washington that are going to lose their jobs over this. People raising families lose their livelihood because of the switch. It's just not one man
Welcome to
switching.
politics.
Well,
it's a rough road out there.
But it's one thing if you lose your job when your member loses, because you know that. If Arlen Specter would have lost his last election, I would have been out of work. But there's people now out of work who were in the majority because the committee size is switched. We don't know exactly how that's going to.
That's the way it goes.
But that's
in '94, a whole bunch of Democrats lost their jobs when the Republicans took over this.
2,000 staffers.
No one cried for them or threw a benefit for them. So a few overly paid bureaucrats in Washington in leadership losses are going to lose their $100,000 a year jobs. I don't weep for them.
Let me close it out with this
get
question.
real work even.
Do you think
try that?
Do you think
if you
the Bush
my
White
colleagues
House
make $100,000 a year?
Do you think the Bush White House screwed
they
up?
make $80,000 a year.
Hardly.
Okay,
Did the Bush-
and they're not worth anything.
A
They don't
third of
work
that.
down there, for God's sakes. I've seen
That's
those
insulting.
staffs.
If I could take a moment to defend my colleagues, I can talk about our staff for Senator Specter and Rick Santorum, and there's no slackers on our staff.
Let's talk about the longevity of the Arlen Specter staff. How many press secretaries have there been in the last 3 years? 4.
Well, you know why that is? Because they're very well qualified.
Yeah, I know why that is. Because he's the worst guy in Washington to work for.
Well, he's a
That doesn't
demanding guy.
necessarily make him a bad senator.
He's
even if
demanding
that's
guy.
true.
That makes him a leader.
Well, it just means he's a not.
That means he's working hard. You just said staff don't work hard enough.
Look, you could vote for Tom Murphy and still not want to work for him. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, you just said we don't work hard enough. Now you just say Specter works is too hard. And I'll be the first to say it.
I'm saying that he can't handle people.
And during the Reagan years,
a lot of that going around.
Reagan was a federal judge.
Let me ask you guys this before you start yapping again. Do you think the Bush White House screwed up? There were all those reports they were really by threatening to cut out dairy reports for, among others. Let me get out the question, please, and not inviting him to that Right.
Senators are invited to the White House all the time. I'm sure that wasn't the first time or last time.
And allegedly that's one
but
of the
I hope
reasons
that's
he
not
left.
the reason someone would leave a conference. I don't think, and you should be pointing fingers at anybody. It's not Trent Lott's fault. It's not Republican leadership fault.
It's George Bush's fault.
It's not George Bush's
They're
fault.
arrogant.
It's just something that Senator Jeffords chose to do. And
that's Trent Lott's fault, but the beauty of it is now the Democrats are going to have to define and figure out, since they're going to take half the burden of leadership here, we're going to have to see whether we're going to have any judges in place, whether we're going to have any staff in any of these departments, whether Ted Olson's going to be the Solicitor General. I mean, now all of these responsibilities they've carped about and wanted bipartisanship. Now it's their opportunity to prove that they can show some bipartisanship.
And as one analyst said today in the paper, are they ready for prime time? You know what I mean? They've got a lot of responsibility now. Can they handle it well? And does it give George Bush something to run on? Well, I would have passed my freaking agenda, but these guys were obstructionists for the last few years.
One of the things, and I think many guys have been executives as governors and so forth, and the best time they ever had is whenever they've got a split legislature. The House is this way and the Senate's the other way. And I think he has a good opportunity this way. They also now have a bad boy. The White House is now giving us a Daschle to bang around and say, look, we're not getting judges confirmed because Tom Daschle won't confirm any. And so all of a sudden you have an opportunity of having an enemy out there publicly that you can go after.
Right. The enemy is the right-wing nutbags that would have gotten on the judiciary had this lovely switch not taken place.
Now there won't be anybody confirmed. There'll be no one in the courthouses.
The courthouses will all be empty. All the criminals will go free.
But we got what, five vacancies in the Western District alone.
As long as they nominate somebody who's not an extremist, they'll get some people on.
No, they won't, because the Western District, God knows what happens with Specter in the Eastern District. He'll let liberals on anytime. But Rick is not going to let any liberals on.
Well, name a liberal that Arlen Specter let on the Eastern Court. I mean, that's just an inaccurate statement.
All right, let's take a break. When we come back,
You should leave the party.
These two harmonious Republicans in the party of the Big Tent will
Out of the
return, and we'll
party.
talk about something other than politics, unless, of course, we get a hold of Melissa Hart, which seems increasingly doubtful. Stay with us on Night Talk Free for All Night. It's free for all night. Apparently, we will be unable to get a hold of the lovely and talented Melissa Hart, who's up there shilling for the Bush tax cut package, or over there, down there, wherever D.C. is. It's on the East Coast, I believe. But we still have Mean Bill Green.
At least a true conservative, Melissa is.
Is she?
The true Republican.
I didn't even know she'd figured that out yet. I mean, she seems to be more conservative than moderate, but I can't.
She's a true Republican.
Oh, she's just one of the sheep following along, isn't she?
God bless her.
Anyway, we also have Doug Saltzman here. He works for Senator Arlen Specter. All right, so enough of this political crap. The Pirates, they reneged a little bit this week. They said, okay, you can bring in the 20-ounce bottle of water and as much food other than soda as you can fit in a 9-by-9-inch cooler. And Kevin acted like it was much ado about nothing, and that he couldn't believe that this was even a controversy, Kevin being Kevin McClatchy. What do you guys think?
Well, I've been to a number of the other ballparks, and this is a much more liberal policy than they have at other ballparks.
Aha, liberal.
But much more fan-friendly policy at this park than others. But it is from a PR standpoint. I don't know how much money they lost in soda sales, but you can't put a PR, maybe Bill can, has an equation for it, but put a PR problem in dollars and cents, but I can't imagine that they can make up the difference. But they do have a much better, nicer policy than most of the ballparks.
I don't know how many of the ballparks, although I suspect most of them were paid for largely by taxpayer funding. That's what I would like to know. When he said, well, they don't do it in Cleveland, they don't do it here, and they don't do it there, they don't let you bring food in, I thought, well, did the taxpayers pay for those parks?
What you have with the Pirates is you have an entire losing organization right now, and everything they do, touch, feel, or say is losing. On the field, in their policies, in their pronouncements, they haven't done anything right since opening day. I like Kevin very much, and I think that he's got some pretty good instincts. He just doesn't have any very good people around him. To not let kids play on that publicly paid for field is just an absolute disgrace. The high school kids. I mean,
Yeah,
they
I
ought
think
to be
they're
able
going
to
to let
play
him play
on
the
that.
championship,
They're going to let him play one game.
yeah.
But let me finish, please. And so whenever you get down to the fact that everything is bad, when you get down to your policy of how you do things with fans, that even compounds the problem. They should have left the policy they had. He never should have changed it 2 weeks ago. And the error of his ways, I think, is proven. What he should do now is just throw away it all and just say we're not going to have any policy and live with it for the rest of the year. Because right now they're going to need but they're going to need fans. And if you're looking at
no revenue or no revenue,
you
no
may have all the
fans.
tickets in the world sold, but if you're not going there and paying for parking concessions, etc., you know that value of that customer is not tripled, which it should be to make the nut.
Some of the issues dealing with, for instance, the high school baseball teams playing, hasn't exactly been reported accurately. They said they could use the field; it just had to be 2 days later. And there's a question whether that then ties into the statewide championships. But they did say that they could use the field 2 days later for those other games.
Why did they get to say? They are a tenant in a facility that is owned by the stadium authority.
Well, that's
they are a tenant.
Yeah, that's one thing I thought was interesting about all this.
We make this facility available for you when you play your game. It is none of your business necessarily what is done with this facility when it's not your day to play a game. And that's what bothered me about that whole thing, that all of a sudden they got to say who plays in their ballpark. It's not their ballpark.
The Sports and Exhibition Authority, which as you both know, runs the stadium on behalf of the taxpayers.
They own it.
Passed a resolution, the board that governs it, and they said that the food policy should be substantially the same. And apparently the Pirates don't care about this resolution, and I wanted to know, well, apparently they don't have to listen. There's not much leverage, apparently.
We talked a long time ago, and you poo-pawed it, and you said it's nothing but minutia. We sat here and we said, let's look at the lease arrangements. Let's examine the lease arrangements.
I didn't poo-paw it.
Yes, you did. You said
not.
that's just not a bunch of
I've never
attorney
poo-pawed
BS.
anything in my life. I did not say that.
You said it was attorney BS.
This is not true. I did not say that.
You come back and you watch how all this language is going to come back and bite somebody, and this is what
I did not say that was attorney BS. You're misquoting me.
I think it's poo-pooed it, not poo-pawed it, but that's a different issue.
No, that's what
Well,
happened.
Bill has cats at home and there's crap all over his furniture.
These leases, which are done quietly in Steve Leeper's closet, and no one knows about, that have finally come out where we've given away the store to everybody, even lets them control that the high school kids can't play on the ballpark. I think that's terrible.
Well, I think like I just said, they said they could play. It was just a matter of getting it.
I just think it's interesting that if they pass a resolution
time.
that say you better do this and the Pirates don't, that there seems to be
There's no
nothing they can
repercussion.
do. Yes.
No repercussion. And I think that's something wrong with the lease situation.
I mean,
But let's
apparently they
talk
have,
about the bar park. It's a great place.
apparently they have some leverage if they want to go to DEFCON 5 and start nuclear war, but nobody wants to do that over the food
No,
policy.
of course they don't.
I mean, they could sue them.
No, they should have.
Sue the
I mean,
Pirates.
all these things have to be worked out. It's the first year. There's going to be all these things that come up that have to be negotiated and figured out along the way. It's just too bad it's being done in public.
All right, we'll be back in a moment with Doug Saltzman and Poopaw in a moment on Night Talk, free for all night. Don't go anywhere. Bill Green, political analyst extraordinaire, Doug Saltzman, and a top aide for Bill Green's favorite senator, Arlen Specter. It was Bob Dylan's 60th birthday this week, you know. He celebrated it on Thursday. Either of you guys Dylan fans?
I'm a big Dylan fan, absolutely.
Are you? So am I.
Sure.
How come so many people, I guess it's just his voice that turns a lot of people off still to this day. A lot of people don't get it. Never have understood the attraction to Dylan.
Right.
Well, I think it's...
Or live through it.
Yeah.
His
That's
voice,
part of it, I think.
or remember
Yeah,
it.
live through it, yeah.
His voice, I didn't live, I was living then, but too young to remember, but I love his music now. I think his writing, over the years, people concentrate more on his voice than on his writing, and his writings are incredible. Bill has a former colleague, Chuck Morris, who named his son Dylan after Bob Dylan. It had such an impact on his life. But his writing...
Bill didn't have much of an impact on his life, right? Apparently, because he would have named him Bill otherwise.
That's probably true.
I think he was around before he and Bill partnered up.
All right, and you're a big Dylan fan as well. All right, good. Well, I have slightly more respect for both of you.
I think living through it, I think, has a lot to do with those times, and
yeah, if you
because
weren't,
it really reflected
right.
how it's hard to articulate now.
The times they are changing was an actual feeling in the air then.
Yeah.
If you hear it 20 years later, it's like, sorry.
And you did feel it in you. I mean, you really.
Dust in the Wind is something that I studied.
That was Kansas.
But he wrote it.
Who did? Dylan wrote? No, he didn't write that song.
Yeah,
He wrote
sure
Dust in the Wind?
Sure.
That song sucks.
No, it
doesn't?
Dylan wrote Dust in the Wind? I don't believe that.
A caller backed me up here. I'm pretty sure.
All we are is Dust in the Wind,
but
Bob
we
Dylan?
studied
I
that
don't
in
believe
English
that.
classes in high school and literature classes in college. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. Please call in. Do I have phone a friend? Do I have one phone friend remaining? Let's check on this.
No, you have no lifeline. You are the weakest link, all right?
Goodbye.
Well, at least that's what Bill says. All right. New Penguin Stadium, back to sports. Does anybody care about that? Should the taxpayers pony up and buy the new stadium?
No, for God's sakes. Why is it always the taxpayers? My God.
Because the rich Republican business people who own these things, they don't want to spend their money. They're not dumb.
Well, then there isn't going to be one and the team goes away. Goodbye.
But you already know the state. There's going to be boatloads of taxpayers' money involved, as I'm sure you know.
There is a capital appropriation that the governor hasn't signed yet.
He's going to sign it, though, isn't he?
Well, we don't know that because he'll want matching money, and this mayor is. I'd like to see this angle. This mayor coming out for matching money.
I'm sorry, I can't even believe with time running out, I haven't even brought up the mayor's race. Bobby O'Connor not giving up, still going to court to try to have more access to the records and find, if not fraud, then at least mistakes. And right now they're alleging that there are people who are not Democrats, they were either Republicans or independents, who were allowed to vote as Democrats in the primary and shouldn't have been.
Right.
699
and he needs more time than he has right now to get than he permits. So he needs to get a stay to push that back to give him some time. I don't think he's going to get that stay. I think this is probably over. Yeah.
Although doesn't he still have one legal option even if he doesn't get the stay and the election results are certified Tuesday? I could be wrong.
Well,
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you have lots of he could push to have. And this came up in the news today, to have the election voided because of fraud allegations, but he has to have extensive proof of those.
All right, so you guys are...
There'll be substantial proof for that. So no, Murphy becomes a minority mayoral candidate against James Carmine, and who I think Carmine may get as much as 30-35% of the vote just out of people being mad or whatever.
Why don't you turn your public relations wizardry for James Carmine and
I don't know the man.
give him a lot of free stuff?
I never met him.
Does that matter?
Well, of course it matters.
Because people just, I thought you were just one of the anti-Murphy people. You know, anybody but Murphy.
No, I'm not. No, I was not an anti-Murphy person.
Oh, come on.
Well, I didn't.
I read your op-ed piece in the Tribune Review yesterday.
He's not an anti-Specter person either.
It was my analysis that no, I am an anti-Arlen Specter. I've been an anti-Arlen Specter man since 1976 when he ran against John
He's
Hine.
a card-carrying member.
So I go way back in my hatred for Arlen Specter and his total ineptitude, and the fact he's in the Senate is a damn insult.
Come on, he
But
wrote the
other
single
than
bullet
that-
theory. He's an historical figure. Didn't he write the single bullet theory?
Yes, he
As
did.
a staff member of the Warren Commission?
He was
Yeah, and
historical.
Cyril has kind of blown that apart every time he's had the chance.
Well, to me, that was a low point. But voting against the Clinton impeachment, I have tons of respect for
He
the
didn't
man.
vote.
All right.
And
it's all
he's
come
against,
full circle, hasn't it,
and
ladies
Bill
and
thinks he's
gentlemen?
against Clarence. He didn't vote for Clarence Thomas either.
We're out of time, but you guys were tremendous. Thanks so much for coming. Back in a moment with the scintillating commentary. Stick around. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight's commentary. Breaking news. Tonight, the NightTalk investigative staff reveals the real reason Senator James Jeffords of Vermont switched parties. He was inspired by another great American patriot, Bob Dylan, who turned 60 years old this week. After all, you don't need a weatherman to know which way the wind blows. And the White House wind was blowing the hot air of the far right-wing rhetoric. And after all, how many times can a man turn his head and pretend that he just doesn't see? Because it figures that Senator Jeffords would be a closet Dylan head. What else do they have to do in Vermont but snarf Ben & Jerry's and suck sap? When he met with President-elect Doofus Boy, he must have used that line from Positively 4th Street. I wish that for just one time you could stand inside my shoes. You know what a drag it is to see you. I like that line. That's great, you know. Now that the right-wing attack dogs are throwing stones at the poor, beleaguered Senator Jeffords, what is he to do? They're throwing stones, I tell you, but I would not feel so all alone because everybody must get stoned, especially in Vermont. The good senator must have been asking himself, how many times must cannonballs fly before they're forever banned? And he knew the Bushies were trying to gin up the crazy new arms race with the wacky, costly missile defense system. But that's all over now, baby blue. The senator remembered when he was a generous soul before he became a Republican. Once upon a time, he dressed so fine, threw the bums a dime in his prime. Didn't you? But of course, you wouldn't catch a Republican throwing a bum a dime now. It's against the code of callousness. Suddenly, a light bulb went off in the senator's head. Through the smoke rings of his mind, down the foggy ruins of time. And he says to himself, don't follow leaders and watch the parking meters. That's our independent man, because there is no compassion in this conservatism. The Bushies give nothing, and they just take and take and take. Just like a woman, but they break just like a little girl. Stamping their feet because little Jimmy doesn't want to play with them anymore. Well, the good senator ain't going to work on Trent Lott's farm anymore, see? With Strom Thurmond knocking on heaven's door, things couldn't be better. Yo, President Doofus Boy, you better start swimming or you'll sink like a stone. For the times they are a-changing, you arrogant chump. And that's commentary, ladies and gentlemen. Keith Jones is here.
Yes, sir. How you doing? I haven't seen you in a long time.
You're a big Dylan fan, I'm sure.
Big, yes. That was a pretty good impression. I'm duly impressed.
It was fair.
That's pretty good.
You don't really like him, though, do you?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, you do, too? Because I know you're a Buffett fan.
Yeah.
A lot of Buffett people are Dylan people.
Yes.
Yeah. Big news
Those are good
tonight,
things.
fires, murders, lots of things. Go ahead, Tracy.
You got
if
it.
need to talk
Everything
to
like
him,
that.
that's all right.
Yeah,
Go,
memories,
if you need to talk
memorials,
to him,
things
go
like
ahead.
that. Yeah, come on in.
Your producer's trying to talk to you, and she won't.
I know, she's yelling.
Anyway, so we got
Things to
good
do.
stuff and dead bodies and stuff. You can't beat that with a stick.
Okay, excellent.
Stay tuned.
Never mind.
What's the matter, Tracy?
She needs to add weather off
There's
the top.
going to be a weather
She
what?
just-
Oh,
yeah.
there's going to be a weather thing off the top.
Yeah.
Hey, Stevie T leaves, ladies and gentlemen. We'll throw darts at a board and give you the latest weather information in a moment on the 10 o'clock news. See Monday, a special Memorial Day encore performance of Jimmy Crenn. So long.